It's Monday, and it's time to mix. And today's mix is all about green. Do you have greens on your palette that they're convenience greens, but somehow they just don't seem real natural? I find that mixing your own green sometimes is really the best choice. And today, since the calendar says it's just about spring, not quite sure here in Maine that we follow the calendar so closely, but since it is just about spring according to the calendar, I thought, why don't we mix up a beautiful spring green that you can use in your painting? And I'm going to show you how this becomes a very cohesive color that you might like to use again and again. We're going to mix up PY 150 and PB 36:1 or PB 36. Now, I'm using Core. I have my Core palette here, and I have pulled out both of the colors. The PY 150 is Nickel Azo Yellow, and the PB 36 is Cerulean Blue. And there's a reason that I chose the Cerulean Blue. And as spring gets here and we think of nice, warm, sunny days in the future, using Cerulean Blue for our bright blue sky and mixing it in with the yellow to make our green is going to give us a much more cohesive painting, like this little thumbnail that I did. The yellow in here is the Nickel Azo Yellow. The Cerulean Blue is the sky. And together they make a green that makes this entire painting very cohesive. The colors just look right together and they look very natural. So let's see how we make this and what kind of variations can we use, because I only use these two pigments for this entire painting. And we're going to look at how you can do that and show you why this might just be a green that you like to mix again and again. First, let's swatch our PY 150. Now, I'm using Core, but you could use PY Pigment Yellow 150 in whatever brand you prefer. Let me just take these cards away. See how that changes? Look how bright yellow that gets. When it dries down, it's so much darker in its mass tone. But this is a color, this yellow pigment really shines. I mean, it's almost golden in like mass tones, but then as we pull it out, I'm going to rinse my brush. Clean water. Lost my sponge here. And as I continue, look how nice and light that yellow can get. This is a beautiful yellow. And then let's swatch our PB 36. So this is our Cerulean Blue. And I just think of, those really bright days. Cerulean Blue is what I see when I look at the sky. And we'll pull that out and you see how nice and light that can get as well. Now, when we mix these two together, we can get a plethora of greens, from very warm to very cool. So really, however you mix this, you can get a lot of variety, and it's just going to be a matter of more of the PY 150 or more of the PB 36. So let's start with a little bit of this here on my palette and a touch of that Cerulean Blue. Let's mix those together. So you see here, having more of the PY 150 versus the PB 36, I'm going to start with a beautiful warm green. Doesn't that just look like spring? Like when we start to see the first hints of color coming up, right? And now let's just grab a touch more of that blue. A little bit more. That was a lot. I'm not going to mix all of that in. Bring a little bit more in. You can see we can just keep making it cooler and cooler. And this would lend itself for landscape because our cooler greens could push back, and then our warmer green and pull into our foreground. You see, I just have a little bit of that yellow left. And yes, my mixing always grows. My space, I'll take up as much space of the palette as you give me. And we can get a very, come all the way to a very cool green. I think this makes a really pretty springy green mixture. And look at how many different hues we can create with this. We could keep going. I could have gotten even, more towards the yellow and even more towards the blue. This is one I hope you'll give a try. Let's look at it in a painting. So just a real quick, again, I'm going to put some of this out on my palette. Okay, so I'm going to have my yellow and my cerulean blue. And now don't just grab cerulean and think that you got this mix because you see the name cerulean blue. Make sure you check what your pigment number actually is, because sometimes manufacturers, when they do cerulean blue, they'll actually take like a PB15, like a phthalo blue, and add white to it. And that is not this, okay? There's no white in this mixture. This is pigment blue 36 and pigment blue 150. So we definitely have that true cerulean and the nickel azo yellow. I'm going to start, I'm just going to wet my paper. And I'm going to do something similar to my little thumbnail that I painted. And it's just going to be very quick, very, very quick. I encourage you to give this a try. But we're going to do an entire painting with just these two pigments. We're going to start off, I'm going to put some of this cerulean into our sky. And I'm going to make my sky be about 2/3. And you see, I'm just bringing it down and letting it get lighter as it comes to the bottom, because what's up here is closest to us and darker. And as we move towards the horizon, that fades away. Okay, my paper's very curled. That's all right. Just hold it down. And now I can come back. This is still working very much wet and wet. I've cleaned my brush off and just tapped it on my sponge to pull out any excess water. And now I'm just going to come in and kind of lift some cloud shapes. And I'm doing that just by kind of scumbling my brush around on the page. And as I get towards my horizon, any clouds or spaces would be thinner. Okay, so now it's time to mix some greens. Further away, I'm going to want a cooler green, so more blue. There we go. Definitely more blue than yellow, and I'm not worried if this moves up into my sky. This is just a quick, kind of spontaneous or intuitive painting. Let's get some more blue-green color back there. And as we move forward, we're definitely going to bring more of our yellow into the mix. And just continuing to drop a variety of mixes into this. I'm going to dry that real fast. All right, let's add some details. A little bit more of that blue. Really mix up some green here. Wet a little bit of this once again. Just because I want to keep some soft edges. I'm going to work like grassy marks in here. And I know these are going to blend out, and that's okay. If there's anything I don't like, just kind of go right over that and erase it. And how about, oh, this is wet. I'm really diluting this mix. I don't want yellow in my sky. I'm just going to drop some in. Seems like the first flowers we see, like fields of dandelions. That's kind of what I'm thinking about here. And you can sort of cover your sky. I'm going to pop off my brush in a weird way. There we go. I'll just put some splatters in there. Some darker values. This is still going to hit spots. So I'm going to get hard edges. I'm going to get soft edges. And now, if I want some that don't really move as much, I want more pigment, less water. And then you pop some spots in that are not going to move quite so much as others. And I get more of that mass tone, so it gives me a variety in my color. Okay. Let's try that one more time and put on some finishing touches. All right. I want very warm. Too much blue on my brush. There we go. See, look at that. Almost olive. We can get such a variety of green with just these two pigments. So now let me get a lot of that paint out of my brush there, so I don't flood any area. This is dry. But now I can come in and add some more variety here. Going back to that yellow. Put in some more flowers anywhere that I'd like. And I can certainly lighten that up with a little extra water. And just dab in some color. And just like that, spring has sprung. I have a field of dandelions for all the early pollinators to feed on. And you see that all of my greens and my sky, everything from beginning to end, looks very cohesive and goes together because I use two pigments to mix every color in this painting. And hopefully you will agree that these two pigments make a lovely option for some nice spring greens. I hope you're going to give this one a try. Certainly let me know. Drop me a comment below. Look at the palette. These colors just kind of separate and pull apart. I love mixing because the palette always has me mesmerized. How about you? Do you love looking at your palette sometimes as much as your paintings? So today I'm just calling this mix Spring Green. If there's a mix that you would like to see, drop me a comment and maybe it will be the subject of a future Monday mix. I hope you're going to give this one a try. I look forward to seeing what you create, and until next time, my friends, I'm going to pop another video up that you might like to watch next. I'll see you over there. In the meantime, keep creating, and I'll see you in a video real soon.